Mame fa say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de o se dem yopo.
See, our fellow panelists, he's been such a nice guy. He's always here. Even at the time when some people in his party decided that he shouldn't come, he was coming. So, on all occasions, I really struggle, you know, to help him, you know. But today, I'm unable to do that. Because what his contribution today amounts to self-indictment. And it is sad, you know, that such a very nice gentleman should do that to himself. Listen, the accusation against Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is that he's brash. He uses harsh words and so on. Is that not the accusation against Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa? But my friend here actually goes to the extent of calling Donald Trump a tyrant. Okudzeto didn't come any close to calling Donald Trump a tyrant. But you have. And yet you think that the press conference has merit. If Donald Trump is a tyrant, in your view, how then does the press conference have merit? But you've even gone beyond tyrant. In your submission, you say this is a president who doesn't think through what he's doing. You're actually saying that he's unhinged. You're actually calling Donald Trump a madman. Your own submission. So,
Foreign Affairs Minister.
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all. First of all, you think he's a tyrant, you think he's mad, and yet you are criticizing the foreign minister for taking a strong position against a madman and a tyrant. What is this? You see, the other thing that worries me is that some people in the New Patriotic Party tell us that we are in a new global dispensation, and therefore what we do and what we say ought to reflect that reality. And Honorable Ablakwa Kwesi also said it, that this is not the time of the Malcolm X's. This is not the time of the revolutionary leaders and so on. To some extent, he's right. Times have changed, but they have changed for the worse. If Malcolm X were alive today, can you imagine the language you'd be using to describe U.S. foreign policy and its president? Look, in the past, they hid. In Chile, they assassinated Salvador Allende. But they did it in such a way that it would not be traced to them. In Ghana, they overthrew Kwame Nkrumah. They tried desperately to do it in such a way that it would be attributed to Kotoka Afrifa and some elements of the Dankwa Buzia tradition and so on. That's how they did it. They were hiding. They executed Patrice Lumumba, dissolved his body in acid. They were hiding to do it. They assassinated Chris Hani. They were hiding to do it. They assassinated Malcolm X. They were hiding to do it. Now they don't hide anymore. It's brazen.
Martin Luther King.
So many of them, so hundreds of people were assassinated by Western intelligence, Western governments. But they were hiding to do it. Now they don't hide it. They are brazen. They bring U.S. commandos into Caracas, you understand, to kidnap a president. They don't hide anymore. And Donald Trump is saying, we are doing it because we want their oil. Their oil belongs to us.
Oil forward, right?
So today, actually, we need stronger statements today because the situation has deteriorated so much. And then there's the question of what interest do we have in Caracas and so on. My brother, foreign policy, first and foremost, ought to be principled. Principled. Foreign policy cannot be reduced to the level of prostitution. We cannot be prostituting our foreign policy. You understand? Oh, Ghanaians need visas to go to the US and therefore we should support the US. That is prostitution of foreign policy. Foreign policy ought to be anchored on principle. And indeed, Solomon Owusu has outlined the principle as stated clearly in the Constitution of Ghana. Our foreign policy is anchored on supporting international law, defending international law, defending the interests of multilateral agencies and so on, clearly stated in our foreign policy. Now, there is no country on earth which has said that the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro is in conformity with international law. Even the allies of the United States of America have said that is a violation of international law. Now, these NPP chaps, what did they expect our foreign minister to do? To take a position against the world in favor of Donald Trump? They must be exceedingly reckless. Listen, France, Macron, what statement did he make? He said this is a clear violation of international law, even though he does not consider Maduro to be the legitimate president. That's what he said. The British Prime Minister said this is a clear violation of international law. The Germans said this is a clear violation of international law. These are close allies of the US. So what is wrong if Ghana's foreign minister also says that this is a violation of international law? And then we said that, oh, Venezuela is in South America. That's a statement based on ignorance. Yes, Venezuela is in South America. But the African Union has decided that the African diaspora is its sixth region. Do you know the African population in Venezuela? In fact, Venezuela is considered as part of the African diaspora. So when we talk about Venezuela, we are talking about Africa. In the same way that when you talk about Cuba, you are talking about Africa. That's the African diaspora. Look, Brazil has the largest African population. The largest African population outside the continent. Indeed, Brazil's African population is bigger than the population of some countries in Africa. So when you talk about Brazil, you are not talking about a South American nation. You are talking essentially also about Africa. And it's important that we know that. Now, listen. The international situation today is so frightening. So frightening that 2 days ago, the Prime Minister of Canada, Canning, actually made a statement, and many people have not grasped it, that Canada is ready to go to war with the US. Why do I say so? He said, if need be, they will trigger Chapter 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. What does Chapter 5 say? Chapter 5 says that when one country is attacked, all the other countries will rally and fight the opponent. And he was speaking about Greenland. And he said that Canada is ready. Canada's commitment to Chapter 5 of the NATO treaty is clear. So in effect, Canada its prime minister is saying that they are ready to go to war with the U.S. in defense of the very principles that Okujato Ablakwa, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ghana, is upholding. Canada, a Western country, is ready to go to war over these matters. The MPP doesn't know that. You know, yesterday, something very significant also happened. Donald Trump, in one of his outbursts, made the claim that when they attacked Afghanistan, other NATO members did not go to the front line. He made that statement. You see, these MPP chaps, they don't follow international events and so on. All the members of NATO, between yesterday and this morning, are angry. Listen to the statement that the British Prime Minister made yesterday. That this is an affront to the truth. And what Donald Trump has said is condemnable, and so on. Denmark has followed. And my MPP friends say, we in Ghana, we should praise Donald Trump and get isolated in this world. I can't believe it. I mean, what pushed them to organize this press conference? What pushed them? What is wrong with them? And they should realize the mistake they have made and probably apologize. I haven't seen anybody, apart from their own few serial callers and so on, or those who do not want to be seen to be stepping out of line and so on. Everybody has condemned this press conference. In fact, some of their communicators, when you meet them on platforms like this, they try to defend. When they close, they tell you, oh, this was a useless press conference. I'm sure all of you have experienced it.
Not yet.
I've experienced it.
They will tell you that this was a completely useless press conference. Now, I am frightened. I'm really frightened. The press conference which was organized by the minority in Parliament frightens me. And it frightens me very, very deeply. You know why? This tiff with Israel, how did it happen? Members of Parliament of Ghana traveling to Israel and on official assignment were detained by the Israeli authorities and humiliated. Members of Parliament. The minority in Parliament organizes a press conference and virtually tells us that it was okay for the Israelis to arrest their own members, subject them to inhuman treatment, detain them. What kind of parliamentarians are these? They are not ready to defend their own dignity. Would they be ready to defend my dignity? Sana, their own dignity is at stake. Their dignity as members of Parliament of Ghana is at stake. They don't want to defend it. How can they defend my dignity? It's incredible. These people, where do they come from? But you see, it's so shocking that sometimes, you get choked. You don't even know what to say. It's incredible. What did Ghana do? All that Ghana did was to say that you have so badly treated our members of Parliament carrying diplomatic passports. You so badly humiliated officials of Ghana going on official duty, and therefore we would also deport an equal number of your citizens. This is in accord with the principles of diplomacy. The number one cardinal principle of diplomacy is reciprocity. Diplomacy is based on reciprocity. You do me, I do you, pepe. That is diplomacy. So they don't even understand the principles of diplomacy. They have no idea. They don't understand the principles of diplomacy. You see, if they had kept quiet, if they had not held this press conference, we would not have known that this is how ignorant they are. But they organized this press conference and displayed their ignorance in full colors before our eyes. Now listen, and this is really frightening, really frightening. The minority in parliament is telling us that we should not call what Israel has done in Gaza as genocide. Do you know the implications of that? The minority, do you know what damage you have done to yourself? I can't believe it. Look, even in World War II, the number of journalists killed in this conflict in Gaza by the Israeli Defense Force was not equaled. This is the highest number of journalists killed in any conflict in the world by the Israeli Defense Force. And we are comfortable with it. It should not be criticized. Look at the number of women and children who have been killed. Which country in the world supports the genocide which was committed in Gaza? Which country in the world? In fact, the only people... It's very fair. It's very fair. The only political party in the world, apart from Netanyahu's party, which has supported the genocide in Gaza, is the New Patriotic Party. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
I think, respectfully, that is unfair.
Okay, so what is fair? Tell me.
In the sense that when I started the show, I was very clear that I have a contrary opinion. So I beg to differ, you know, as boxing all of us.
Oh, so the minority did not speak for you. They didn't speak for you. Okay, fine. That's fine.
I must be No, listen, I was very categorical here.
So it's okay.
But you do not represent the opinion.
So I'm only making a case that you know, he shouldn't box, you know, because when we do press conferences, it's not the entire. So I want
there's no problem.
I want to be clear about that here, especially when I'm here.
Yes, of course.
That the press conference and views expressed should not be attributed to the New Patriotic Party. I'm comfortable with that.
Thank you.
I'm very comfortable with that.
Not all members of the New Patriotic Party. Because those also held the press conference are members of the New Patriotic Party.
Agree, but he's saying that they didn't speak for him.
For him,
especially on the question of Israel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that
isn't this beautiful?
I started my conversation that way.
Yes.
So whilst I'm here,
you need to
I need to clear that because then it's like you're boxing all of us.
Fantastic. I mean, so you will not be boxed.
I refuse.
No, Master, you will not be boxed together with those who had the press conference. That's what I can assure you.
Thank you.
So let me make my statement very clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
The minority or so-called minority which held this press conference finds nothing wrong with the genocide which is being committed in Palestine. Is that not shocking? I mean, so very shocking. And you see, Master, their crass ignorance is displayed in many ways. It is obvious that when President Muhammad spoke at the UN General Assembly, they were not listening. Because if you listen to President Muhammad's speech in the UN General Assembly, which people all over the world, even in the United States and so on, are praising, you should be asking yourself, what is the difference between statements made by Ablakwa and the statement which was read by President Muhammad in the UN General Assembly? Now, I wonder how anybody who read or listened to the president's speech in the UN General Assembly will call on the same president to dismiss his foreign minister who is speaking the same language that he, the president, is speaking. It is only if they didn't listen to the president. I mean, 2 days ago, The president spoke at Davos.
Yes.
You understand? The Accra Reset Agenda and so on. Did you listen to the speech?
Yeah.
How different is that speech from the statements Ablakwa has been making and so on? And you know what you have ended up doing? You've ended up raising the profile of Ablakwa, turning him into a hero. There are things that the foreign ministry has done which I'm so dissatisfied with. Today I'm spending my time here defending the foreign minister because of what you have done.
Myself.
Your party, your minority, what you have done. You turned this young man into a hero. You turned him into a hero. You understand? Now, maybe history can explain what is happening today. Maybe. I'm not sure. But perhaps history would explain what is happening today. Because I recall 1969, when the Progress Party, in the face of the mounting pressure to dismantle apartheid in South Africa, issued a statement and actually fought other African countries for insisting that sanctions should be imposed on the apartheid regime. The Progress Party government led by Buzia said we should do business with apartheid. Is there some consistency here? Is there some consistency? Progress Party wanted to do business with apartheid. The apartheid regime which was saying that black people are inferior to white people. The apartheid regime which has seized most of the lands of the South Africans, which was subjecting our brothers and sisters in South Africa to inhuman treatment, which had imprisoned Nelson Mandela and so on. The Progress Party led by Buzia said we should do business with them, that the rest of the world should go to hell. Maybe there's some consistency here. You understand? Maybe there's some consistency here. Maybe there's some consistency here because only a few years ago, we saw the president of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, sitting in front of Anthony Blinken. Foreign minister, not president. And telling him that Burkina Faso is misbehaving, we have to deal with Burkina Faso. They have to help him to deal with Burkina Faso. Maybe there's some consistency here. Not too long ago, we had a president telling us, the whole nation, that he stood side by side with Ukraine. Maybe there's some consistency here with Ukraine. Ukrainians whose intelligence officers are openly supporting jihadists, insurgents in Burkina Faso and Mali. Our president said he stood side by side with Ukraine. Maybe there's some consistency here. Look at the problems that Burkina Faso is going through, caused by Ukraine. And our president is standing side by side, or was standing side by side with Ukraine.
There's one thing I wanted to...
You see?
No, please, no.
When you're...
Master, I beg you, listen. You frighten me.
No, there's one
So,
thing.
if we make the mistake, if we make the mistake of putting you back in power, this is the foreign policy we are going to pursue. We are going to support Ukraine. We are going to support Israel. We are going to support the annexation of Greenland. Is this the foreign policy we are going to pursue? You are going to be so unprincipled in your foreign policy? Hey, then we should be frightened. We should be very careful. Because if this is the foreign policy we are going to pursue, I don't want to see you in power. If we are going to pursue a foreign policy which supports a government who can send troops into another country to capture another president of a sovereign country with his wife, innocent wife, then I don't want to see you in power. If indeed we are going to get into power and support the genocide in Israel, I don't want to see you in power. You understand? If you are going to go into power and say that Africans in Venezuela, when they fall into trouble, we should not support them, then we are a danger to African unity. then you're a danger to the African diaspora. And we don't want to see you in power. What is wrong with you people?
Can I come in now?
What is wrong with you people?
I'll wait.
Why are you bastardizing foreign policy? My friend, let me stop here before...
Yeah. And this discussion with regards to foreign affairs, I'm of a varying opinion in terms of my arguments. I think that out of all of this, first of all, I must admit I was not entirely happy with how Foreign Affairs managed the embassy issue in America. I think it was one of the first mishaps within the Okujato quote-unquote administration. I felt that the issue of corruption at the embassy, supposed issue, could have been handled at the back end instead of projecting it in the American news domain. I think was in bad taste, especially with regards to our country's reputation, to put out that government officials in America were corrupt. I think just added to what the Oyibo wants to say all the time, that Africans are corrupt. So based on my engagement with a lot of Western folks, and my Pan-Africanness, it didn't go well for me. I was not happy. The American embassy in many parts of the world have major mishaps, but they don't make it public. They manage it. If you don't listen to Congress, you may never even hear about some of the mishaps, either through their military actions or either through contractual arrangements that were not, very well done. So, borrowing from some of the experiences, even with the British, where they have mishaps with their embassies, it is always important to look at the image of your country, and in selling or putting out your dirty linens. So for me, I think that especially the embassy issue, whether confirmed, and in fact, as it stands now, it begs the question, what were the actions meted out to the people supposedly involved that can make us believe or substantiate what was said? We've had very little in terms of the retribution, to the said individuals who are Ghanaians, and I would have hoped that maybe in the final analysis we would have heard that, oh, so and so individuals have been arraigned in court for this specific issues, and some changes are being taken at the American consulate, Ghana's consulate in DC. End of story. That for me would have been much better in terms of reducing the label as Africans being corrupt in the diaspora. So that is one thing. Now, I also think that the issue of disclosures with regards to the ministers, entire ministers of the Mahama administration, should be looked at carefully, in the sense that when you assume the role as a minister, your words carry a lot of weight. You are no longer the MP for just either South Dye or North Tongue or whatever. You are now necessarily, let me say, representing the state. And for that matter, when you talk in the capacity, not as Okujato Ablakwa, but you talk in the capacity as Foreign Affairs Minister. And I think that sometimes is lost on our ministers. To just cite, for instance, the DSTV saga with reference to communication, these are some of the instances where I think that once you become a cabinet minister, you ought to know that before you make certain statements, it should have gone through what the agricultural people say remuneration or ruminating. You churn it out, you get it checked, you weigh the pros and cons of the weight of the statement that you are going to make. To borrow from the likes of even Bill Gates, because his words matter in terms of stock prices, he has about 6 lawyers review any statement he puts out, because his words as CEO of Microsoft or his words as chairman of Microsoft is not like an ordinary floor member, or as it stands now, he's not just an MP. He speaks for the state. And I am the one who called out even the Speaker of Parliament that, Mr. Speaker, with regards to the LGBTQ matter, you may have your personal, feeling about it, but when you go out, you're talking for the nation, and some of your approach has financial implications. So I'll beg and plead with you that when you go out and you are talking, though you are not for LGBTQ, I'm not saying that go and say you are for it, but the kind of wordings that you use matter. So in reference to Okujato, Ablakwa, to borrow from Dufiasem, who is one of the, or was one of the stalwarts of the NDC, and even to also borrow from Kwame Nkrumah in terms of the, non-aligned movement, which was also borrowed from the likes of Gandhi. I think that we are, as it is, an economy trying to, reset, to borrow from the NDC, and for that matter, fights that are not in our terrain and will not inure entirely to our benefit. I think that we should shy away from, trying to poke. You see something. So I really think that we have, a tyrant president in the person of Donald Trump. He's already looking for people to trouble. I mean, that is his posture. And if you look at his posture with regards to the likes of even governors in the America who go after him and what they do to them, I would, prefer that we weigh the benefit and cost of our statements. Venezuela, Ghana's foreign affairs relations with Venezuela, I'm very not aware of much, to the extent that we should go and sustain an injury with regards to a country that, I don't remember how many Ghanaians necessarily, travel to Venezuela. And even by way of protocols within the Foreign Affairs Ministry, do we have an embassy situated in Venezuela? Probably not. So you gauge, I'm just trying to make sense here, that you gauge your relations even with that supposed country, and then you ask yourself that, where is my locus? Where is your locus? We have neighboring countries going through coup d'etats and things. What machinations have you done as a foreign affairs minister with regards to your own AU, that you go to South America and try and be the voice for South America? Respectfully, I think that, not that we shouldn't comment on some of these things, but, your Twitter comment as a foreign affairs minister, first of all, is not our style in this country. If Donald Trump Twitters, fine, but we in this country, I think you communicate by way of a full, well thought out, agreed upon statement with the spirit of what the president would be saying, and then you put that out there. So I think that in summary, one, disclosures or communiques by His Excellency John Dramani's ministers need to be carefully looked at, and they need to be reminded of the fact that their statements can be injurious to the state or beneficial to the state, and we shouldn't be necessarily the first to react. I patiently observed even the British after the capture of the Venezuelan president. They gave themselves about a week to assess and take a decision as to how to approach it. So if not at all, look at the Chinese way too. You know, they've been they are a far bigger economy than us. But when they do talk, they are much more careful, because when it won't inure to China's benefit, they you know, masterly avoid making public orations. I believe in you know, the likes of Malcolm X. They were very vocal. You know, these were revolutionary people. But the politics of the Marcus Garvey time, the politics of now, is very different. I was just looking at Hugo Chavez's picture, and it was nice to watch some of his videos. And I must admit that our era is very different, and diplomatic relations, for that matter, has very complex things. You know, you don't want to lose on all your, you know, pipes that come into your country, because it matters, it helps. So my 2 words for Minister of Foreign Affairs, respectfully, I respect the position he holds. He's a fantastic guy, a member of parliament, but I want to rather mind him that, you know, he's no longer just an ordinary member of parliament, when you can just, you know, off the cuff say things. Now he's a statesman, and for that matter, not doing student politics. He's doing national politics, and you know, I would plead with him and all of Mahama's ministers that please, you represent both the opposition and the government, and for that matter, leave some of these things for the backbenchers. Let them say it. You can do that. It can be in the media that, oh, a lot of Ghanaians, this is their posture, this is how they feel about Venezuela. But as for you, who, when you talk for the nation, Bre Obahima, but this is Bre Minister. Na nya abutre to just go off the cuff. He shouldn't learn from Donald Trump. You know, he goes off the cuff, you know, when he feels like it, without checking the legal ramifications or implications. So respectfully, in that capacity, not as you know, Okujato Ablakwa, but in the capacity as the Foreign Affairs Minister responsible for international relations, and may I say commerce, because you can't discount or disjoin commerce from international relations. And you know, these are my submissions with regards to the hula baloo about the foreign ministry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah, nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.